Some places on Earth, they just seem to defy any easy definition. They're a paradise and at the same time a paradox. They're a testament to human endurance, but also a profound warning for our collective future. So today, let's journey to the heart of the Pacific, to a nation that is defined by water, by incredible resilience, and by a fight for its very survival.
Take a look at this number, 98.62%. So what do you think it is? It's not a stock market number, it's not an election result. No, this is a figure that defines the very essence of a country. It's about geography, sure, but it's really about existence itself.
Yeah, it's water. A staggering 98.62% of the Republic of the Marshall Islands is water. It's a nation with just 70 square miles of land, tiny little islands scattered across 750,000 square miles of the vast Pacific. To really get a sense of that, imagine a piece of land smaller than Washington, D.C., but spread out over an ocean territory that's bigger than the entire state of Alaska.
And right here, this is the central paradox. From far away, you see the vision, right? It's the postcard of paradise, these sun-drenched coral atolls, these beautiful rings of islands. But when you get closer, the reality is a story of that same beauty being shadowed by a deeply traumatic past and an incredibly uncertain future. So the real question is, how do those two truths exist in the same place? To understand the Marshall Islands of today, we actually have to go back in time. Way back. Back to an era when all this endless water wasn't a threat, but a kingdom, navigated by some of the most sophisticated seafarers the world has ever known.
Thousands of years ago, Austronesian explorers did something that honestly still astounds us. They didn't just stumble upon these tiny specks of land in a huge ocean. No, they mastered this environment. They built a thriving culture based on this intimate, profound knowledge of the sea.
And their genius, it went way beyond just looking at the stars. They developed this unique and breathtaking art of reading the secret language of the ocean itself. They learned to literally feel how these long-distance ocean swells would bend or refract around islands that were still dozens, even hundreds of miles away, completely unseen over the horizon. It was part science, part pure intuition, and it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, it was a total symphony of the senses. At night, you'd set your course using the stars, but during the day, you'd feel the subtle shifts in the canoe, reading the invisible patterns in the waves that were telling you land was near. It was this deep fusion of astronomy, physics, and an almost spiritual connection to the water. Truly incredible.
But of course, this remote water world, as expertly mastered as it was, couldn't stay isolated forever. Its strategic location right in the heart of the Pacific would eventually turn it from a self-sufficient kingdom into a pawn in the great game of empires.
And the pace of change was just relentless. Within a single lifetime, the Marshall Islands fell under German control, then Japanese, and finally American. For each new empire, the islands weren't seen as a home for a unique culture, but as a strategic stepping stone across the Pacific Ocean. Then, after the brutal fighting of World War II, the United States took control. But this wasn't just another change of the flag. This transition, it marked the beginning of the single most traumatic chapter in the nation's history, one that would poison the land, the sea, and its people.
The dawn of the nuclear age cast a dark, mushroom-shaped shadow across the sunny atolls of the Marshall Islands. Paradise was about to be redefined by a force its people could never have possibly imagined.
67.
That's the number of nuclear weapons, atomic and hydrogen bombs detonated by the United States over just 12 years. For more than a decade, this remote paradise became the epicenter of the Cold War arms race. It unleashed a destructive power equivalent to dropping 1.6 Hiroshima bombs every single day for 12 years. And the human cost was immediate. And it was devastating. The entire population of Bikini Atoll was forced to relocate. They were told their sacrifice was for the good of mankind, and that it would help end all wars in the future. They were promised they could return soon. It was a promise that was completely, catastrophically broken. And the danger was never contained. The Castle Bravo test, the first U.S. hydrogen bomb, was a terrifying miscalculation. Its explosion was more than double what scientists expected. And when the winds shifted, radioactive fallout rained down like a white, poisonous snow on inhabited atolls, on people who were never warned. And that legacy remains today. It's a scar you can see from space. This is the Run It Dome.
If you ask the locals, they just call it the tomb. It's a massive concrete cap over a bomb crater, and it's filled with radioactive soil and debris scraped from all the surrounding islands, including deadly, long-lasting plutonium. You see, this dome was meant to be a temporary fix, but now it's become a permanent, ticking time bomb. The concrete is cracking, the bottom of the crater was never even lined, and as sea levels rise, there is a growing fear that a powerful storm could just tear it open, unleashing a whole new wave of poison into the Pacific. So you go from the fallout of the atomic age straight into the rising tides of a new century. The Marshall Islands now finds itself on the front line of another global crisis, one that threatens its very existence. So, on paper, the nation is politically independent, but its fate is still deeply, deeply entangled with the United States. There's something called a Compact of Free Association, which provides financial aid and defense. It creates this very complex, very difficult relationship with the same country responsible for its atomic legacy. The atomic shadow, as terrible as it is, might be receding. But a new threat is looming. And for a nation where, remember, 98.62% of its territory is water, well, the new existential threat is the water itself. The numbers here, they paint a really stark picture. Sea levels around the Marshall Islands are rising at more than double the global average. For a nation made of low-lying coral atolls, this isn't some distant problem for our grandkids. This is a clear and present danger happening right now. 7 feet, just about 2 meters. That is the average height of the land across the entire country. So when the sea is rising this fast and your home is only a few feet above the waves to begin with, there is just no margin for error. Time is running out. From masters of the ocean to survivors of the atom to the front lines of climate change, the story of the Marshall Islands is a profound and urgent paradox, and it leaves all of us with a question that really echoes across the entire planet. What is the future for a nation whose land, the very foundation of its culture and its existence, is slowly being reclaimed by the sea?